Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about the theory of karma. Now we've started talking about ethics as practiced in the Indian tradition, and today we talk about a very fundamental notion of this theory of karma in the in the tradition of Indian ethics. Now many of us must have already heard of this theory of karma, or theory of karma as said in an as variously said. Now we perhaps may have an elementary idea of it. Now let us look at it. What could be the motivations, and what is this basically this theory of karma? Well, as most of us would put in that, well, theory of karma is about simply put, is that as you sow, so shall you reap, that there is a moral equilibrium, that every action has a desert. Now if you look at the screen, we would talk about this, that, well, righteous actions are rewarded and wicked actions are punished. And that there is no exception. Well, that is essentially the theory of karma as commonly understood. Now let us look at these, look at the motivations for this action. Now many of us may believe that every act sticks on to us, and we need to get a result of these acts, and many of us would believe that, well, there is a predominant chance factor in the entire gamut of moral actions. Now let us say, what could be the motivations of the evolution of this theory of karma? Now theory of karma is followed in Jainism, Buddhism, and in various schools of Indian philosophy. Now let's say of all the children born on the day you are watching this video, that is today, will all of them have an equal opportunity, or do all of them have equal access, or will all of them be having equal access to facilities in their future? Are all of them born equal? Well, perhaps without too much of effort we can answer that, well, no, definitely not. Some would be advantaged, some would be disadvantaged. Some will have a lot of advantage, some will have a lot of disadvantages, and there will be a variation in the opportunities that each of the individual born on this day face. How do we rationalize this difference in the start line? Now perhaps our intuitive idea of fairness is that, well, the start line has to be the same, and whoever performs better deserves better. But what if the start line is not the same? Now our entire gamut of public policies, governmental intervention, philanthropy, social activities are towards getting this discrepancy in the start line adjusted. Now theory of karma in this sense brings about is a derivative of what in Indian philosophy is known as Rita. Rita, or the theory of cosmic order, that everything is regular, ordered, and there is no chance factor or nothing spontaneous. Rita is a fact, another fundamental claim of the Indian thinking tradition, that there is a cosmic order, that nothing is random, nothing is by chance. The key word that we would like to perhaps take here is random. Nothing is random. So, well, when we say that nothing is random, the Rita or cosmic order says that, well, whatever happens is a part of a grand design, that the entire cosmic order is an order, not a accident, not a chaos, not a play of chance. Now, the theory of karma is a subset of this claim of Rita or cosmic order, that, well, whatever happens at is caused, and there is no random or uncaused events in the moral equilibrium. Now, coming to, well, let us say that, well, what does theory of karma do? Theory of karma now is claiming that, well, this discrepancy that we talked about in the starting line is, well, not a discrepancy at all. In fact, discrepancy in the starting line is, if analogically compared, to that of a group of runners running a race. So, each lap, the advantage that you get on, you transfer it to the next runner, and that is, the starting line is not when you are born, but the starting line is way before that. That where you are born is a consequence of your past actions. Now, what does this do? This might perhaps seem illogical or irrational to it, but then this is just a theoretical model. And how does this model seem to be better? Because it because it attempts to justify differences, that there are discrepancies, and these discrepancies are not random. But then perhaps many of us would be seething with the question that, well, what does this mean, that we that these differences are okay, that these discrepancies are okay, and that we do nothing about it? Well, we will talk about this in detail, but let me give you an answer from what the karmic theory would say, is that, well, the environment or the situation that we face is a result, or is a result of our past actions, but what we do with it and what others do with it is where our free will is. So, human actions are not completely determined in that way. If the theory of karma is giving you an idea that things are determined, no, well, things are not determined, but the trajectory incidents are perhaps influenced by what is your karmic desert, and thereof you decide, and thereof how you tackle them accumulates fresh desert or not, but that will be towards the later questions of karma. Now, let us classify human actions. Now, let us say human actions when taken from the perspective of desire. So, as classified, there are sakam and nishkama karmas, which would mean that, well, actions which are done out of desire or with desire, and desireless. Now, again a classification of human actions from the point of the effect that it yields can again be made. Human actions well, the first classification that is made is prarabdha, and the second classification is anarabdha. Anarabdha is further classified into sanchita and sanchayaman. So, what this basically means is, well, prarabdha means that the results are already effectuating. Anarabdha is not yet effectuating. Sanchita is actions have been done. Effect due, and sanchayaman is, well, actions are being done. Well, let us say what is the point of these classifications. Now, if you look at human actions from the point of desire, when we talk about desire, we talk about actions which are done with a result or with a goal perceived. When we talk about nishkam karma, or we talk about desireless action, is when an action is performed without the goal of the action in mind. Now, if you look at the other classification of human actions, they are, that is, effects. Now, prarabdha is when, which we might have heard in common talk before, strictly means that these are actions which have been done and their effects are all in process, that is, they are effectuating. Anarabdha, in contrast to prarabdha, is when the effects have not yet begun to unfold, that is, it is not yet effectuating. That can again be divided into sanchita, that is the actions that have been done, but the effects are due, and sanchayaman, wherein the actions are being done. So, these are basically classifications again to detail the theory of karma, that how do we find that, well, actions yield itself. Now, if we take a look at how this scheme of things is fitting into the way we lead our lives, is that, well, every act that we do cannot be without a trace. Every act or every moral act that is done sticks to the agent. Now, this is quite profound understanding, because not only that it perhaps makes one almost fearful of the result of immoral or actions, and expectant of the good results of moral actions. So, theory of karma would in that sense bring about a moral order more out of the fear of punishment and the greed for reward. But is that all that is to theory of karma? Well, definitely no. There are these are deep metaphysical assumptions in Indian philosophy, which are said to have shaped the way actions in societies take place. Now, with these classifications of karmas that we see, as we see on the projection plate right now, prarabdha is one action that is accumulated. Look at it like a bank account. Now, prarabdha is some money that you have already worked for, saved and accumulated in your account, and you are beginning to spend it, or it's, whereas anarabdha karma in that way is that, well, these are stored money which has not yet been spent, but which will be spent. Sanchit is that where you have just earned it and it has reached your account, and Sanchayaman is that you are in the process of earning it. So, well, while you have the privilege or the freedom of spending the money as you wish to spend, in the case of karma, you do not have that privilege. Now, there are some questions which do concern this theory of karma. That let me briefly put forth the questions right now. That, well, number one is, what about free will? Now, if everything is depends on your past actions, then where is the scope of free will? That where do we find that human actions can be free? Because if every effect that comes forth is from a prior cause, where can we have the novelty in this gap between the cause and effect? That is an easy question to answer for a karma theorist, but let me list down the questions first. That, well, let us say, what about free will? And second, let me talk about, well, what happens to the self realized? Now, this is a question that we have frequently talked about, or that we might have heard, that, well, the realized soul destroys destroys their own karmic accumulate and goes ahead, but now the law of karma would perhaps not have it so, that, well, karma cannot be destroyed. So, is there a conflict between a claim in Indian philosophy that, well, the law of karma, that karma continues, and on the other hand that karma can be destroyed with knowledge? We will talk about that too. Now, if you look at the third question, do all actions have a karmic effect? Well, the fact that I am writing in red instead of blue, does this have a karmic effect? Well, again, this is a simple question to tackle, that is basically tackling the difference between moral actions and amoral actions. Now, an interesting question, that does the law of karma, I abbreviate it as LOK for short, limit the autonomy of God? Now, this is a very interesting question I would like to bring you forth, that, well, many of us have conceived Indian philosophy as very much theistic, with an intervention of God. Now, is law of karma making this notion of God impersonal? That is, well, what there have been many theistic bhakti seers and proponents who have claimed that, well, what use is this God if this God cannot forgive, cannot do favors to us? Now, law of karma in that way does not entail us to favors from God. Well, if you have done something, you will get the result of that act, no matter what, no matter how much you how much a benevolent God would like you to forgive you or to reward you. So, the discretionary power, so to say, of any godlike entity is taken away by law of karma. So, does this limit? So, is this law of karma an alternative to God? Does it critique or limit the autonomy of God, or does it can they both go together, both being very significant portions of Indian foundational metaphysical thinking? Then we have, what is the beginning of this karmic chain? Now, if everything is caused by something prior, where is the beginning? And sixth and final sixth question that perhaps many of us would be thinking is that, well, benevolence and compassion towards the suffering would be intervening in the law of karma. What do I mean by this? Well, I mean by this is that, well, let us say if theory of karma is claiming that, well, that there can be an intervention in this karmic desert that we get. Let us say if somebody is suffering, and in fact does the law of karma lead to fatalism, because that is the crucial question, that, well, if somebody is suffering, the karmic theory would say that, well, that the suffering is a desert or a result of the earlier actions, and now as a third party or as an observer, if I intervene to restrict or to alleviate the suffering, exhibiting compassion or benevolence, am I interfering with the law of karma? Am I interfering or intervening in the play of the law of karma? This gives me an interesting analogy that, well, wildlife photographers, analogically speaking, when they enter or when they are permitted to photograph or video record or document wildlife in, say, natural reserves or forests, well, one strong standing instruction with them left for them is that they will at no point ever intervene in the functioning of nature. So, well, if they see a hapless bird which has fallen down from its nest and a predator being nearby, the photographer or the documenter has been denied to put the bird back into the nest or prevent it from being the food of the predator. Now, this is an analogical example of benevolence or karma or anything that interferes with the notion of karma, that, well, benevolent action. In fact, this is brought forward to a very was brought to light by a very potent debate taken place in our pre-independence era, when Mahatma Gandhi declared that the earthquake in Bihar, which caused a lot of suffering, as being the result, the karmic result of the practice of untouchability, to which Rabindranath Tagore has very aggressively responded that, well, this is just a factually inaccurate justification. That I am surely the point that Gandhi would want to say is not that we should not help those suffering, but that the suffering is perhaps caused by the karmic influence of practicing false policies or practicing unfair policies. Now, this is the debate. This is the question that we come when we talk about the sixth question, that benevolence and compassion as towards the suffering would be intervening in the law of karma.